Hey, this is the old school traveler. I'm back off another vacation. And guess where I went to? I went to Boise, Idaho. Boise, Boise, Idaho. Let me tell you about Boise. Now, I know when I say I'm an old school traveler, I don't have any prejudices against any city in America as long as it's a metro with 500,000 people or more. I don't have any prejudice against any city in Europe as long as it's got 250,000 people or more. I'm going to go there. I'm going to tell you about it. And I'm never going to tell you about it if I didn't stay the night there. That's one of my requirements. I have to stay for at least one night, at least 24 hours to see the city. I have to eat out at least 3 times because if I do it any less than that, I am being prejudiced against that particular city. I may overrate them. I may underrate them. But I'm not going to sit there and tell you how great it was if I didn't stay there long enough to get a good view or to use my GoPro or one of my drones. That's why I can tell you because I'm showing you ain't nothing fake and it's all my experiences, not somebody else's. I want you to know how I felt, what I saw. Now, let's talk about Boise, Idaho. Right off the bat, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's in the middle of nowhere, right off the bat. Don't even pretend there's something close by. Nope. Everything you do, you're going to have to fly. You're going to have to fly there. Are there a lot of airlines that go there? Nope. Only a few. And the most direct connection there is to Denver. You get to Denver, you can see the world. Maybe Seattle you can too, but Denver is a hub for most airlines that go to Boise, Idaho. Now, I'm going to tell you about Boise, Idaho. Let me tell you about Boise, Idaho. It's a spread out little city, not too spread out that you can't get around in about 20 minutes. And you know what? Traffic is not heavy, but the locals tell you it's heavy compared to what it was about 10 years ago with the same streets. If I can go through your city at 60 miles an hour and not have to stop for anything on the interstates, that's not traffic. We call that jaywalking on the East Coast. You still moving, you just moving slow. 60 miles an hour is not moving slow. But the northwest part of the Boise is where everyone lives at. I'm going to tell you from the very beginning, Boise is not diverse. No. Boise is white America. White to the max. I didn't even see any. I might have been the only minority in the whole damn city, as far as I know, because I didn't see nobody else. I never did. And believe me, I would have noticed, because I'm sure they noticed me. But the people were as friendly as you can get. Never had anybody look at me funny. Never gave me anything I need to keep my eye on. Nope. And I'm going to tell you also, and I didn't know this until I got to Boise and I was talking to a few people. And a strange conversation came up. Not really strange, but when I was driving through Boise, and you'll see my pictures here, the video, and I was looking around and seeing things, I noticed that Boise got a shitload of Mormons. Yes, they do. And I happened to be talking to a guy, and he was saying, yeah, I got 6 kids, and, I'm not going to retire until I'm 70 years old, but, just making small talk. And everything he said, when I put it together, I'm like, he's Mormon. And then I went out and I saw one of the biggest temples, bigger than any church I saw, Mormon. They do not invest that kind of money in building their temples and places of worship unless they got a lot of people there who can contribute to that. Because we all know building funds, don't pay the bills. They pay salaries. So when you got a building like that, I'm like, oh, okay. And then I went back to the hotel and I read a couple of things, and yeah, they got a hell of a Mormon population. Like I said, it's not diverse, but at the same time, I've been in places that got a lot of Jewish people, a lot of black people. Boise never once gave me the impression that they were under any kind of threat for anything. At no point did they ever give me that feeling. Now, let's talk about Boise and the city itself. Now, Boise's got a negative side too, because I did see some homeless. Not many. Don't get me wrong. Not like most of the West Coast. But Boise do have their issues, and they have things they need to work on. Because, I couldn't tell if I was in the bad part of town or I was just no longer in the good part of town. But their bad was not like the bad that I saw in other American cities, in the bigger cities. No, you didn't see something that was obviously, the projects or the ghettos. Nothing stood out. I just seen areas that was not as kempt as other areas. Yeah, I didn't have anything to make me have a fear factor in Boise. I nothing at all. Boise was a cool, easygoing city. Like I said, I just saw some areas that was a lot better than others, and most of what I saw that was a lot better were either down by the university, Boise State University, or they're out in the suburbs, in the northwest part, of this, of the city or the area that look northwest part from the city. But other than that, though, Boise was, like I said, there's a part that's cleaner than the other part, a lot cleaner. So let's talk about Boise and what Boise think they are. Boise got a lot of people from California, a lot. Not the Mormons. The Mormons come from Utah. Yeah, they all came from Utah. They came right north and found a good location. Now, let me tell you about Boise that what they think they are. They think they're a metropolitan city with a lot of things to offer. No, not at all. What Boise can offer you that nobody else or very few other cities can offer you is the outdoors life. There isn't many cities that are on their level. If you love the outdoors, the only city I can think about that's even comparable to Boise, but Boise I think is a lot easier to get around, a lot nicer, is Denver. The outdoors is their thing. If you love the outdoors, Boise has it for you. I don't care what it is on the outdoors you want to do. I don't care what it is. You can do it in Boise. That's a great thing to have because most people who live out there, they outdoors people. You see a lot of Subarus, kind of like Colorado, not as many. It's not every other car. But Boise has the outdoor life, whether it's lakes, rivers, you name it, Boise got it. Boise has it. So that's kind of cool because most people who would go out there, I recommend that they definitely be some outdoors people. But I'm going to tell you the other thing about Boise too that you didn't know this, you got to know it now. Boise have extreme temperatures. Boise, when I was there, it was 92 degrees. I would have never thought Boise got that hot. 92 degrees. Boise is just, that's extreme considering the fact that it snows a lot. You don't find places where it snows a lot and the temperature, it was, matter of fact, 3 days in a row, it was 90 degrees or better. That's hot as hell when you look at it snows a lot and you could have 2 months ago been having, a foot of snow. You could have had a foot of snow 2 months ago and now it's 90-something degrees. It doesn't gradually get hot. No, it goes from 0 to 100 quick. That's just Boise. But if you're an outdoor person, whether you ski or not, because they got a lot of ski places, everybody enjoys that. Everybody enjoys that. Everybody enjoys that. So my whole point is, if you like vacationing, Boise is for you. I really enjoy Boise for the most part. I'm going to tell you a couple things I did not like, but for the most part, I really, really enjoy Boise. So if you do like to ski and do outdoor stuff, the entire state of Idaho, don't think about just they got potatoes. No, think about all the things you want to do. Boise, if it's outdoors, they got it. And the infrastructure is modern, state of the art. Yep. I think because the university, they want to make sure that they got the needs for the kids as far as the infrastructure, the internet and all that. And now let's talk about something else in Boise that I'm going to tell you why I didn't like as much as I could have liked it. Food. Boise got a lot of bars. Well, call them pubs. I search and search and search, and you cannot find really high quality places to eat at. You got your typical McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, whatever, whatever. You get your typical chain stuff. What I wanted was authentic food from Idaho. Not a damn potato. I can get those anywhere. But I wanted that, and I found that difficult to find. I wanted some bison. I found more bison in Colorado than I did in, Boise. And I know they got buffaloes because I was on the airplane when I saw them. Now, I ain't seen many of them, but hey, I only need one for me. I only need one. I need just one buffalo. I'm like, they got to have some bison restaurants. No. If they do, they hide it. Now, Mormons eat regular food like anybody else. They don't have all this restrictions, and like Jewish people and some other people, Muslim. I don't eat pig. I don't eat. Mormons eat what I eat. So we got a lot in common already. We got a lot in common already because we like hoofs. You got a hoof, we're there. So my whole point was, Mormons got, and they dominate the population in Boise. I'm not saying they're 9 out of 10 like Salt Lake City. What I'm saying that they're going to be 4 out of 10, maybe 5 out of 10. But my whole point to this was I didn't see any foods that was Idahoan food. Some states just don't have their own foods. They eat what other people from other states eat. It's like when you go to Montana and they say, well, we got these crabs. Guess what? So do Maryland, so do Alaska. You're not a crab state. First of all, you're not on any coast. You're landlocked. Yeah. So don't be talking about what crabs you got. Tell me where the crabs come from. Venezuela? Okay. Peru? Okay. But don't make it sound like you have crabs because you don't have a lake or sea. Hell, you ain't got many rivers, But my whole point to Boise is that I didn't see anything locally. Now, they did have a couple places, food courts, that was, your typical, Mama Mia, Frederick, pizza, Federico pizza. They had a couple of places in the food court, but I wasn't into none of that. So, like I said, they did have some of that, but at the same time, and you go near a university, you got junk food. You got a lot of junk food. You got bar food. That's what around universities, but they don't have a proper upper class downtown as far as high class restaurant goes or hotels. I'll get to that in a minute. But where I was staying at in the suburbs, every place I looked at, it was like a pub. I mean, they got crowded. People went to them, the local people, but it was like a pub. There was no Morton Steakhouse. I mean, like I said, as Boise get bigger and get more money, because they do have money there, because the crazy ass Californians brought in money when they migrated, but they do have money there, but they don't have that, these high, but this way, you don't see high end shoppers in Boise. You don't see high-end shoppers in Boise. Boise has none. They're not going to ever have any until they get high-end incomes. And now I think the people around the universities might be all right, and the people in the suburbs, because houses in Boise cost you $700,000 on average. That's just suburbs in Boise. Boise housing prices are crazy now because the crazy-ass Californians again. But Boise, like I said, the prices kind of wacky now. But saying all that, I didn't see the food prices or restaurants to justify the high-end stuff. They just don't have that right now. And I don't go around the world to eat at, fast food joints or chain places. I refuse to do any of that. So I can say that. So Boise, once they get their act together, and I'm not a pub person for dinner. Nothing wrong with a happy hour drink every now and then on a Friday when you don't want to cook and you don't want to spend a lot of money. Well, at least not on food. Anyway, you spend it on drinks. But, nothing, that just, me and Josh just looked and looked and looked. And I can tell you how I knew Boise did not have high-end restaurants. They don't have high-end hotels. Now, they have hotel chains, Hilton and Holiday Inn and all kind of crap. They have all that. But they're not gonna have, the Westin, they're not gonna have all that, because Boise got people who can afford to stay in one of those hotels, the high end stuff, but only for a night. They're not gonna be a business traveler, and they got a couple of large companies there like Micron, but Boise is not gonna have somebody who's gonna stay a week in a high end hotel. If they do, there's no need to build a hotel for 400 rooms, and you only got 2 people in them. So the hotel chains don't see that money coming in, so they're not going to build a hotel. And like I said, the Hilton Garden might be the top of the line hotel in the whole damn city, which is sad to say, but at the same time, hotels are not in the business of losing money either. So they're not going to build something they can't make money off on day one. And Boise's not going to give you that. And the airport, let me tell you, I don't think any airline goes to Boise more than twice a day. I flew from Denver to Boise, and then American Airlines is in Boise, and that really was about it. Oh, and Southwest. That really was about it. I didn't see anything else going to Boise, and getting flights there is not easy. Not easy. I'm going to tell you something. If you're going to fly to Boise from damn near anywhere, it better be from Denver to Boise, Dallas to Boise, Seattle to Boise. Nothing from the East Coast goes to Boise. Nothing at all. You go from the East Coast, you're going to make a connection. Boise only direct flights is to the Midwest and a couple coastal cities like Seattle and maybe LA and maybe San Fran, but it's not what you think it is. But I found a lot of these cities that got 700,000-800,000 people total, like Memphis and St. Louis. Well, St. Louis got a few million. Their airlines, it's difficult to get to them. It really is difficult to get to them. So, there's no supply chain that's ready to go to Boise. So my whole thing is that if you want to go to Boise, I keep debating, should I just drive there or continue flying, knowing for a fact that if I fly, I'm going to be sitting in some connecting place for 3, 4, 5 hours easily. And it's just going to wreck your whole day. It makes you get a credit card for the lounges because you don't want to sit in the airport that long. But if you go to Boise, it's just one of those cities that, like Memphis, it's just no easy way to get there. It's just no easy way. When I say easy way, I'm thinking you leave the East Coast, you hop to another hub, and you wait an hour, bam, you're gone. No. Boise, you got enough time to go house shopping. House shopping when you go to Boise from the East Coast. You can go literally get off and go look at houses in whatever connecting city that you're in, and still make it back to the airport in time to get to Boise. It's just one of those cities. But now I said it's a great city for outdoors. I did not say it's a great city for people who are not outdoorsmen. If you're not outdoorsmen or outdoor people, I have no clue what you're going to do to stay busy and have fun. I have no clue because I didn't see anything at all. And, Boise kind of grew overnight. So the people there did not have time to properly plan for this huge influx of people on their infrastructure. Boise was a quiet little town about 10, 12 years ago. Quiet, maybe 100,000 people, maybe 200. Now Boise probably got 800,000 people that drove house prices crazy. They still building houses and people are still buying those houses. But one thing I can say about Idaho in general, they got some pretty parks. Boise is no exception. Now they got a river walk that I went down the river walk, and to be honest about it, I wouldn't even advertise it. I would never advertise that we got a river walk because people think that every river walk is equal. No, it's not like Chicago or San Antonio. And San Antonio river walk isn't about shit either. But anyway, it is overhyped. But you got Chicago got a pretty river walk, but it's just that Boise is just it's a quiet, peaceful town. At least it was until the Californians messed it all up. But my whole point is, if you like the outdoors, I would definitely give Boise, because it's not expensive. I would definitely give Boise a shot because you like fly fishing, you like Evel Knievel type stuff, you like anything to do the outdoors, you're in heaven. I would definitely come back again. It just would not be in my top 30, but it's not expensive. It's a lot cheaper than what people may think it is. I mean, it's not like an East Coast price, and it's more of a Southern type price. I just couldn't find that food vibe that I want. I didn't see food trucks. I didn't see nothing. And I was downtown during the lunch hour, during all kind of times, and I was down there near the university. I just didn't feel that love that. And Boise wants to be a food city. I think they want to be, but then again, you got a lot of Mormons who may just want you to leave them alone. And I totally understand that. And that could be the case, I don't know. But my whole point is that if you like peace and quiet, Boise is not bad. But there's no indoor stuff. But if you like to be outdoors, it's gonna be hard to beat Boise. Whether you ski, whether you fish, whether you swim, whether you're rafting, it's gonna be hard to beat Boise. And plus it's cheap. So this is the old school traveler telling you that. I know you're surprised I'm talking about Boise. I go around the world, baby. I just take it. It don't matter to me. Big city, small city. I'm just informing you about what I saw. And like I said, it's not diverse, but it's fun if you got things you want to do in the outdoors. Peace out, the Old School Traveler.